Frankly Speaking with Frank Portinari, the podcast that gains access to real and inspiring people. Today, we welcome Gary Hutton. Gary is the author of a thought-provoking book called Product of a Postcode, and I look forward to speaking to Gary later on about that. Before I do speak with Gary, I'd like to make a few announcements. We welcome our sponsor, the House of HHH. Their motto is helping to make our communities home. And we thank Hayley for introducing us to that. And we shall continue to support that in any way we can. Sincere thanks to all those who continue to watch the podcasts and listen to us on other mediums. The mediums we are available on, Amazon Music, Spotify, iTunes and Podbean. We'd also like to acknowledge the amazing work done by the Alzheimer's Society, the support they give both to sufferers and their families. We also continue to support Change Your Life, Put Down Your Knife. And also a more recent campaign, Casual Minds Matter. That's our friends up in Burnley, who continue to grow and do some great work, supporting men's mental health. Certainly highlighted it and then offering support for it. I'd like to thank Mac the Hat Media for their technical advice and support. But the main man today is Gary. So Gary, welcome to Frankly Speaking.
Thank you, Frank. Thanks for having me on.
Sorry, we can't have any sponsorship. You got that? Gary has taken full advantage advertising his book. Well done, Gary.
So the charity product of a postcode, people think this is the only clothes I've got.
How many have you got? We've got quite a few of you.
Yeah, I've got loads. I've got loads.
Well, Gary, as I say, welcome, mate. It's
Thank
nice
you.
to see you. I do follow you on social media, so I've got, I know some of the great things that you do.
Yeah.
And how well received you are by people, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
We like to start off, if you don't mind, Gary, a little bit about your background. Obviously, coming from the East End. Which part of the East End was you born in?
So I was brought up around Brick Lane, Whitechapel End.
Okay.
So my parents come there in the 50s. They was Irish immigrants.
Yeah.
And so immigrants for hundreds of years settled there because it was cheap. And basically it was a ghetto. But you could get a job if you could work a machine, work in the brewery. You know, you could walk in one job at 2 o'clock, leave it at 3 and get another one.
Yeah, I've done that myself years ago.
Yeah. So it was an industry. There was lots of industries there. So my parents come from Ireland. My mum's from Cork, and the person that fathered me is from Derry.
Okay.
So I don't call him Dad, which you'll find out. But yeah, so he come from Derry, and my mum from Cork, and so yeah, they settled in Brick Lane.
Right. Okay.
I had a lovely life. School, clothed, washed, dressed, church twice a day.
Right.
So I was taught by Catholic nuns.
Okay.
And then the youngest was 18 months old because they had 11 children, being Catholic.
Oh.
And so the youngest was 18 months old. I was 15. No, sorry, the oldest was 15. I was 7. And my mum died of leukemia. And the nuns told me, your mum's gone to live with Jesus. And I was like, I want to go and live with him after what you've been telling me. Oh. And the person that fathered me is an alcoholic working in Truman's Brewery. And
Brick Lane, the old Trumans, yeah.
Yeah, he was working there. But I never knew him growing up. He was never about. I was always with my mum.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I never knew that he went off to work and things like that. I was too young to understand. But then when my mum died, you know, he had to give up work and he learned me how to shoplift so that we could survive. So the first time I was arrested, I was 9 years of age.
Wow.
And then school becomes somewhere to eat because they're giving away free food. No one told me go to school for the path of academia. I was told go to school or go in a children's home. And I was in a children's home. I didn't like it. I wanted to be my siblings. So I made sure I went to school every day.
Right. What was the breakdown, boys and girls, you know, brothers and
sisters? There was 7 boys and 3 girls. Yeah. Very dysfunctional. You know, you can imagine the trauma of losing your mum at such a young age. Yes. You know, everyone's suffering with trauma.
Yeah.
And, you know, violence it just bred violence. Poverty breeds violence.
And what were your housing conditions like?
So at first we lived in a 2-bedroom house in Chicksand Street, just off of Brick Lane.
Yeah.
And as the family got bigger, they moved us into a 4-bedroom masonette. But it was top and tail.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's still.
Yeah, it was top and tail.
Yeah.
The roof had leaks, so you had buckets on the floor to catch the rain.
Yeah.
The old wooden windows was all rotting. Yeah, but see, but it's normal. You just grow up in that condition. It's normal, and you don't realise that every day's a trauma. You know, it was safer, Frank, to be out on the street than actually in my house. The first time I was stabbed, it was by my sister when I was 10 years of age.
Oh my God.
And so, you know, so I use my life's path as a tool for learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been through so much, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, some people could write a book about being stabbed and how it affected their life. Well, me being stabbed in my life was like, that happened yesterday. Let's see what today's going to bring.
Yeah, I get that.
And you just move on.
Yeah.
You just move on.
What secondary school did you go to?
I went to St Bernard's in Cheshire Street and Old Bethnal Green Road.
Right, okay. Well, let's dispel that myth thing, because me and Gary was having a laugh earlier and we said we're going to put him on the spot.
Yeah.
And we're going to, I think you might know what's coming. We said,
yeah.
We'll ask him if he went to Dainford.
Yeah.
And
so Nicky Flanagan.
I've been asked this a few times.
Yeah. So Nicky Flanagan. So he lived locally in the area. I lived in Bethnal Green. He lived at one end of Brick Lane. I lived at the other.
Right.
And we went different schools together. And he's a couple of years older than me, but no one will ever believe it's not me.
It only dawned on me. I said to Gary, dawned on me a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I thought, apart from the book, there's another reason why that name rings a bell.
Yeah.
I put two and two together, because obviously you spelt it now, because we was going to say, did you ever get to drive a van? But
if he would have said that he nicked the van, I would have said, of course it's me, I know him.
Emptied the back of it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's that one then. I spelt that one.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But well, I'm very ambitious.
Well, you've done more than driven a van, that's for sure. Not being disrespectful to anyone that drives a van or ever did drive a van. Some people can't even drive. So academia-wise, then, was it a struggle? Was it no interest, or just was there other things that were more fruitful?
So I used to have to go out shoplifting every week to feed my brothers and sisters, and I was given a list, and you know, a trolley the old ladies pull along.
Yeah.
And a holdall, and I used to, work from the list, and so and I had to get money all the time. And where I grew up, it was the rag trade, so I was allowed to go and rob them and all things like that. But as long as I give the person who fathered me money, and he would go to the pub. And so school, I knew I had to go to school, so I didn't want to go in a children's home. It was embedded in my brain, so I didn't understand why I was there. So I was messing about, fighting. But I disguised. I learned tricks how to not let them know I couldn't read or write by throwing a table up in the air.
Yeah, do you know what? That doesn't come as such a surprise or a shock, because we've spoken to a few people now, it's very similar to some of the stories.
I say this, Frank. Right, people that's lived my life, we're all a product of a postcode. You could block my face out and hear me talk, and I could be anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's lived a similar life.
Yeah.
We've all lived the same life. It's not, if you get involved in crime, they call you a gangster, but you have to spend 15 years of your life in prison to become a gangster now. And I'm like, oh my God, but you're a product of a postcode, because it's your mentors and your role models in your postcode we all take bits from, and they make us what we become. They even, our choices in life, because we think they're clever and we choose the same choices as them.
Yeah, true. Yeah, very true. Very true.
So we're all a product of a postcode.
I've experienced some of it myself, looking up to father figures and, that kind of thing. So, I know how easy done it is. What age did you leave school?
Well, I left school about 14, 15.
Yeah.
They didn't want me anymore. You know, but honestly, school becomes so. I used to have first, seconds, thirds, and fourths. That was the only thing. See, I was suffering so much trauma from it. I didn't know at the time that I used to walk into doors and go into shops, and any room I walked into up until the age of 15, I was looking for my mum.
All right.
I just didn't believe that she would die. I thought, you know, I've been told about Jesus, and I couldn't work out why a God, you know, so loving, caring, would take a mum away from 11 kids and one being 18 months old. I couldn't get around it. So I used to think that can't be true.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so, but that was the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? The trauma. So, you know, I probably suffered mental health all my life and anxiety and things like that, but not knowing what it was.
No, you couldn't identify it because you're at the time.
Yeah, you don't know. But see, now, you know, I look at people that's going through mental health and we say like, oh, there's a chemical imbalance in their brain. There's something wrong with them. You know, I say, tell me what you went through.
Yeah.
I want to find out what you've been through, because that's the problem. And it's a lot of people's problem when they're going through mental health, anxiety. Something's happened in their life.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, you know, so many people we've spoken to on this podcast. It's so common. It's frightening.
Yeah.
What you once might have thought, for want of a better way of putting it, was abnormal. It's actually quite normal.
It's the norm.
It's not a shock. It's actually not a shock or a surprise anymore. In fact,
no.
said this to you know, our mutual friend here, Gary. You know, to Gary, like, you know, it's got to the stage where we almost, especially even somebody who've not read a book, you know, not read their book, you get to a point and you kind of anticipate what's coming. You think, oh, yeah, there's a pattern here. You know, we've heard something similar to this before. What was sorry, Frank. I walk into schools and I can see the kids that are, you know, before they've even opened their mouth. Yeah.
I can tell a kid who's hungry.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I know what their life's like before they even talk to me.
Yeah. I was a schoolkeeper for a while in an infant school.
Yeah.
And, you'd be standing there, and all of a sudden a little hand would go into your hand, you know, and you look down to a little boy or a little girl, and it didn't take a lot of working out that they ain't got a dad.
No.
9 times out of 10 it was the dad. Occasionally there was a situation where there wasn't a mum. 9 times out of 10 it was generally the dad.
Yeah.
They used to radiate to me because there was no male teachers, so I tended to be, you know, I was the only male in the school.
Yeah.
So they radiated towards me, you know, and I used to think the poor little sods. And then I used to realise how lucky my own daughters were, you know, just to have a dad, never mind what type it was, just to have a dad, or had a mum and a dad, like, you know.
Yeah.
What was your first job? What was your first meaningful job, for want of a better way of putting it?
Spitalfields Market.
Legal one, I mean, by the way.
Yeah. Spitalfields Market.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I was 16, and I worked for a fruiterer called Lou Reese.
Okay.
In Spitalfields Market, getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then realising, hold on a minute. There's a better bad note than this.
Well, yeah, I don't blame you for coming to that conclusion.
Yeah.
It must have been nice being a young fellow, you know, working with older blokes. You learn a lot, didn't you? You learned the game very quickly.
Yeah, Spitalfields Market, it was full of characters.
Yeah.
It was full of characters. So yeah, it was interesting. It was great. Yeah. It was really interesting. I liked it for what I'd done of it. Yeah. But see, I was used to easy money by then.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, I was used to easy money.
I was working with some fellas, some quite notorious brothers, and we were just on the buildings, you know, converting the houses. Like, you know, we didn't own the company. We were just the labourers, like, you know. And so I was the youngest out of the group, and I didn't realise they did other things outside of work, so to speak. And then you see them one day and they're all suited and booted, and you think, oh, well, where do you get that? You know, you don't afford that suit.
No.
Wages that we get. So where are they getting this money from? Where does he get that car from?
Yeah.
You know? You know, that's not on £15 a week, £20 a week, whatever it was in the early 70s. You know.
No.
And yeah, I soon learnt people had little sidelines.
Yeah.
And, I had a little taster. But
Yeah.
I thought very quickly. I thought, well, it's all right till it, as they say, until it goes wrong. And my thing used to be, well, I don't want to be out with my girlfriend one night, sitting in a restaurant or standing in a pub, you know, and a little firm walk in, a rival firm walk in, and you can hardly say, not tonight, fellas. You know, I'm out with the old woman or the bird.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, righto. You know, I'm probably going to land up served up. So I learned very quickly. I thought it's all right knowing them, maybe just don't associate too much.
Yeah.
But you do meet characters, obviously.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Yeah. And living in the East End, or in London in general, I've met quite a few.
Yeah, I should imagine.
Yeah.
So when did you feel that, for want of a better way of putting it, criminality was a more lucrative profession, so to speak?
I think I'm so not really knowing anyone that really went to work. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know anyone that woke up at 7 a.m, went to work, come home at 5, sat around the dinner table and spoke about the day at work. That was non-existent in my life. So I didn't understand that part. I didn't really know that. But I knew people that had a few quid and looked smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and, you know, not going into too much, but, you know, my mentors and role models when I worked with Balaclava and a boiler suit. And I thought, God, I want to be like you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you know, and it just evolves. And the attraction to easy money, it's that's what it is. It's easy.
Yeah.
But it just goes as quick and it goes as easy. And so you've got to replenish it all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so I would say, yeah, my teens. Do you know what I mean? And I was trying, you know, going to work in Spitalfields Market. I just wanted to better my life, whatever I'd done.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's all I was doing. Because I used to wear hand-me-downs in a very big way, where I used to have to put cornflakes boxes in my shoes and sellotape around them to keep them together. And so I always wanted to better myself. And
I'm
so
glad
whatever.
you said that. I'm glad you said that, because when I've worked with younger people, you know, when I was working as a dispatch manager, we had young messengers and so on, and young fellas. And when I used to say that, I used to go to school and you used to either have a bit of a cereal box in your shoe or a bit of lino.
Yeah.
The kids used to, when I used to walk upstairs in the school, I used to be conscious, could the kids behind see me when I lifted my foot up?
Yeah, you walk a certain way.
Fuck off! Where do you think you was around the same time as fucking Fagin or something? You know, they just don't believe it. And I'll say no. Late 60s, early 70s, you either had or you didn't have. And you know, and the same with like Provident checks. Remember the Provident checks? You know, and of course it was sod's law. All the decent clothes. You wanted a pair of Levi's. You know, that would be in the shop where they didn't say Provident checks.
No. So you know when you used to
get the school Cooper or Wrangler, you know,
you used to get the school vouchers to go and get your school uniform.
Yeah.
And you had to go like to Mr. Byrights or
that's right,
somewhere like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it exists anymore, but yeah, that weren't you know, Armani.
Definitely not. No, it wasn't Stone Island, was it?
No. But yeah, so these things was like, you know, coming from poverty, you just want to better yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So in any way you can.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of people that grow up, you know, they grow up in the same area, but they're not living the same life as you.
No.
Do you know what I mean? And you hide a lot of things as well. You know what I just said to you there about the shoes? You walked in a certain way, so you didn't lift your feet up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. What I was going to ask you was, so did you initially work independently, or were you kind of like invited into a group of people to work with?
So that's a good question, right? So you go and get stuff on your own when you first, you're doing stuff. But so growing up, it was always a couple of us. Do you know what I mean? There was always a few of us that was all doing something. Do you know what I mean? And then when you get a bit older, you go out to different places, and then, you come across someone. I was always spending money, and I attracted a geezer, which I don't want to go into. I attracted a geezer that could see I could get money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm standing in clubs and I'm giving it, and I attracted a geezer, and we started working together seriously.
And eventually,
obviously, I ended up. I ended up on the front page of News of the World for £5 million.
You got your collar felt, for want of a better way of putting it.
Yeah. For £50 notes.
Right. Okay.
For £5 million worth of £50 notes. But see, even that, Frank. See, so if you say that to someone, they think, "Oh, big criminal." No, see, I look at crime differently. It's like going to work. Right, I'm looking at it as I'm a CEO of a distribution company, and I know lots of people. I'm just distributing it, and I'm getting a few quid. But people, they exaggerate crime, and it's like this great big underworld. No, it's not. It's a group of mates that want to earn a few quid.
Yeah, it just comes in different levels, doesn't it? Different degrees. And I understand that. I never told anyone. I never told anybody this story publicly. I'll make it quick to show you how successful a criminal I was. When I first met Mark, we've been together bluntly 50 years this year. And when we was in our early teens, 15, 16, and she was 6 months older than me, and got a job in an office, which to me was like, my bird works in an office,
Yeah.
I work in a warehouse,
Yeah.
So she's posh. Anyway, so I met her at work one day, and I said, "You all right, babe? Okay," and all that. She went, "No, I've had a bad day today." She said, "No, my governor's had a cut me and all that." And you get the attitude. Don't talk to my bird like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, cut a long story. Told a mate of mine. He said, "You know what we should do?" He said, "We should break in." I said, "What?" We went, "We should fucking break in there, nick something out of it." I went, "Well, fair enough," and all that, So we get 2 suitcases. I don't know where we got the idea of a taxi and 2 suitcases anyway. We're watching silly films, probably Ealing comedy films, if anything, anyway.
Yeah.
So we go around the back of this place, and we break it, and we cut a long story. And I think we landed up with a little photocopier. Might have been a typewriter, and some dresses off of a rail. And then they had a map. It had all the pins of all the delivery addresses, and I thought, "Fuck them, I've moved all the pins,
Yeah.
So anyway, I meet her from work the next day, then "You all right, babe?" I went, "All right, yeah. How's work today, all right?" Yeah, all right. "No." I said, "You sure?" Yeah. Oh, the boss apologised to me, said he was in a bit of a bad mood. I said, "Is that it? Nothing else happened?" She went, "No." "Oh, yeah," she said, "people downstairs got broken into last night." Hadn't even broken into the right place. That's how fucking useless a Bill and I was. Yeah. Because we didn't realise when you went round the back there was a slope.
Yeah.
So you down to a basement rather than the first floor.
Yeah.
I was never invited to the Brinks Mat or Hatton Garden or any of the big jobs.
Brilliant.
So what was the punishment for this particular crime, then, Gary?
7.5 years. Yeah, but I went up. So yeah, but see, Frank. So once upon a time in my life, if you dropped me off in the desert, I'd have been selling the best sand anyone's ever sold. There's a geezer on the next June selling exactly the same sand, but you buy it from me. Yeah. So I'm now dropped off in prison for a white collar crime.
Yeah.
And now I'm surviving, and all the currency I'm trading.
Yeah.
And they deem me unfit to go to an open prison as a DCAT. Right. And they send me to a high security BCAT prison.
Oh, where was that?
Bullingdon.
Oh, Bullingdon.
Because they've watched me, and
that's Oxford, isn't it?
Yeah, but what happened, Frank? It just opened Bullingdon.
Yeah.
And they chucked everyone they didn't want in the prison system there. And honestly, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy, but I just carried on.
What year was that? What period? Can you remember?
So, early 90s, 92, I was on remand, and then 93, I got sentenced.
Do you know what? I got moved to Bullingdon.
Did you?
And I didn't, so that must have been 93, maybe 93. Yeah, because what happened one day, I was on Cat A up in Winston Green.
Yeah.
I just came along one day, and they said, "You're on the move." Well, I hadn't even been sentenced yet, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, "You've got to tell me where I'm going, mate." I said, "Because I want to know I've got visits booked." And they said, "No, you won't know. You won't know till you get there." And that's where it turned out. And I was in Bullingdon for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And they realised they made a balls up because I had the freedom of the prison. I could go to the gym. I could go.
Yeah.
I would go to the canteen. All the things I couldn't do in Winston Green.
Yeah.
I got open visits, which the old Bill went mad over.
Yeah.
All that keeping me away from people, and now they've literally come and seen me. But yes, I've been. I was about 5 weeks.
Yeah. So anyone that when it opened about that time, they just chucked everyone in there.
Yeah.
Just to fill it up. Anyone they didn't want, or anyone that was a fucking pain in the arse, they chucked them in there.
The big thing I was there was the ram raiding. All the youngsters, a load of youngsters were there.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was the end of 93, maybe beginning of 94. It seemed to be the big thing. But all the ram raiders all seemed to be congregated in this.
So, that was a crazy place, that place. So, oh God, where do I start? So I thought, Frank, that I was like macho, tough, hard, and I was searching for paedophiles and rapists in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was finding them and really hurting them, setting fire to them and things like that.
Yeah.
And I done one so bad one day that I said, I've got to get out of here. I wasn't going to spend the rest of my life in it.
I was going to say, you got to be careful.
Yeah, because I was like, so, but I thought it was macho. It's what you do, you know, that's what you do. But I realise now, no one does that in prison. No one does it. And so, but it was, my subconscious was hiding stuff from me. Mm. Because when I ended up on the run, I got out of there, I slipped someone something and they said, you can go, because I knew I was never getting out of there. And I thought, I'm going to spend the rest of my life in here. Do you know what I mean? So I needed to get out, and they sent me to Spring Hill. Is it Spring Hill? Yeah. Because I really shouldn't have been in there. But because the way that I was behaving, you know, everything that was going on in the prison, it was down to me. So they put me there, and then they sent me to Spring Hill. Right. And I got to Spring Hill, and they had these Nissan huts, you know, the old army Nissan huts. Yeah. And it was 30 geezers stinking. But there was a group of geezers there that I know. And they said, we heard you was coming. We've saved you these new bungalows. One of these, like, in these new bungalows you can have there. But they said to me, the geezer you with, he ain't staying in here. Right? And I just thought, they said a bit more, and they said, he ain't staying in here. So I went, oh, fuck this, I'm going home. I've had enough. Do you know what I mean? So I made a phone call, meet me at Aylesbury at McDonald's, run across the field, jumped over the fence, and I'm gone. And I spent 18 months on the run. Oh, God. I done quite well, but I still stayed in London, but yeah. I lived in North London. Right. Yeah, so I just, but the thing was going on the run, so you can't drive a car, you can't run any transport or anything like that, it can all be stopped. So you just have to walk everywhere. And a geezer in his mid-30s, looking presentable, he ain't getting stopped. No. No. But you walk back into prison after that, and you're like this. Because all you've done on the outside is go, look, you know, making sure no one's following me, no one will be all back. Yeah, of course, yeah, I get that. Yeah. So I spent 18 months on the run.
Did they give you any more for that? Give you another lump on top of that?
So I found out something so terrible while I was on the run that it changed my life forever. Because this person who fathered me, I put him on a pedestal with Jesus Christ and thought he is, you know, even though you know, looking back now, he weren't doing nothing. He was just getting drunk and coming home singing them rebel songs. So when I was a kid growing up, they called me the Irish boy, and I spoke like this. And I caught me late to it. I was like, what are they talking about? But he's coming home drunk every night singing these rebel songs that I knew nothing about. Do you know what I mean? I used to think he's a drunk. Didn't have a clue. And so, yeah, I found out something so bad. I thanked him for keeping us together, but he didn't do nothing to make that happen. Do you know what I mean? We'd basically done it ourselves. So I put him on a pedestal with Jesus Christ for that. And a lot of people where we lived did that and all. But then I found out something so bad. I was on a run and one of my brothers phoned me up and he said to me, Gal, my sister Kim, she stabbed me at 10 years of age. She said she's grabbed a stranger walking past her dad's house. She's grabbed him and she's cut his throat and let him drop to the floor and said to her dad, this should be you. I said, like, what are you talking about? Oh. And he said, but hold on, girl, that's nothing. She's been taken to a mental hospital and she's been sectioned. But the person that fathered us all, he's committed suicide and he's took tablets. I said, what? He said, what's going on? Didn't get it. And I said, look, I can't go to the secure hospital, but I can go to the London hospital, get someone to go and see Kim, but I can't go there because they lock the doors behind you.
All right.
So I can walk into London and get out of the London hospital. Frank, I walked into the ward, and you know where the nurses sit there at their little station?
Yeah.
I said to her, could you tell me where Mr. Hutton is, please? And my two brothers were standing next to me. And the nurse looked at me, got up out of her seat, looked at me in the eyes and went, you don't want to worry about that cunt, you want to worry about your sister. And got up and walked away. Oh. I looked at my brothers and said, nurses don't talk like that. What's the matter with her? And one of my brothers said, no, don't worry about it. And then another brother come out of the doorway along a corridor and said, he's in here. Come in here, come in here. So we went in there and he's laying in the bed and he said, you're going to kill me. So, but 5 of my brothers are standing there. I went, why ain't they going to kill you? Why is it always me? And he said, no, you're going to kill me. You're going to kill me. It started like, you know, you're going to kill me. And I was like, he said, what's the matter with him? And one of my brothers said, oh, he don't know what he's talking about. He's took drugs. So I said, no, there's something wrong here. Why am I going to kill you? And he went, Frank, all I've done was touch the tits. And I went, you're right, I'm going to kill you. So then my brothers dragged me out and they done this pact outside. Whatever we heard in that room, don't say nothing. Never tell anyone. I said, fuck off. And I walked away. But I had to get back to North London. Frank, I can't tell you what street I took or anything like that. My head was fried. And it turned out it was worse than that. That he was abusing her since she was 8 years of age.
Jesus.
And so now he's right, I want to kill him. I tried to kill him twice and they stopped me. Twice they stopped me. And but when I've gone back to prison now, Frank, I didn't know this, but psychiatrists use this. They find out if someone's got post-traumatic stress disorder. And I explain it like this. So what it's like, you're sitting on the train, you're the driver of a train, and you're going through a dark tunnel, but your life is on the walls.
Right.
So you can stop it, you can rewind it, and you can watch things that's happened in your life.
Yeah.
So I was doing that every night. You know, I called a mate to get banged up. Just let me go in there and work out what's happened in my life. Yeah. And so I come across a situation where I was only like 10 and I was playing out football or something like that, but I was dying for a piss. So I run in the house, I put my hand through the letterbox, let myself in, run up the stairs, go to the toilet. But before I went in the toilet, my sister's bedroom was there next to the toilet. So I went like that on the angle. And then I thought, oh, I've got to go piss. So I went to piss. But now in that cell, I'm going through my life every day. Do you know what I mean? Mm. At that door, I heard, you go, wait a minute.
All right, yeah.
I've caught him, whatever he's doing to her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now, Frank, I've lost the plot. I've gone crazy. I'm in a cell, and you know what the beds are like? They're made of metal, aren't they? The blue metal. Yeah. Frank, I'm pulling them apart and bending them. I could never do that. But I've lost it. I'm foaming from the mouth. I'm going crazy. I'm smashing the cell up. the alarm goes off and the riot squad come. You know, you hear them, they're coming like that, paratroopers. And, you know, the doors can open different ways in their situations. And so they open the door, but I'm screaming like, coming on, because I want to hurt someone. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm feeling so much pain. I want to hurt someone. I'm feeling pain for my sister. Do you know what I mean? And because I'm talking to her every day on the phone, but she's drugged up. Do you know what I mean? They're keeping her sedated. And I'm in turmoil. My life is just ruined. Do you know what I mean? And so all I know is anger, and you let your anger out. That's all I've been brought up on. Is you strike out at any moment. And so I've lost the plot. But they come in, they wrap me up. They know what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? They're trained to wrap you up. I ended up with my legs up the back of my head. Do you know what I mean? It was like, and they took me down the seg, and they laid me down on the floor, and they laid on me. I was on my legs, on my arms, and I'm saying, when I get up, I'm going to hurt one of yous, right? And I keep repeating it. And then at the corner of my eye, I see a nurse, and she had a little jar in her hand, and at the bottom was a little bit, it was black. I didn't know what it was. So she bends down, and they put this thing in my mouth to keep my mouth open. Right. And she pours this jar into my mouth, and it's like a black liquid, and it drops in my mouth. And I think to myself, there's no way I'm swallowing that. That ain't happening. And they grab my throat, and I go, and I swallow it. And they go, right, get off of him. I said, watch now. Watch what happens now. Well, Frank, I was laying there. I can't feel my toes. They're not working. And it's coming up my legs. This heat, it's rising.
Yeah,
right now,
and
now I can't feel my fingers. I can't move my arms. And I'm like, it's rising up my body. And I'm like, I'm going, oh, in my head, I'm saying, they're killing me. Right, so now I'm starting to panic. Right, and it's rising up, and it gets up, and my head goes all hot, and now I can't talk. Bang. I don't know, right? I don't know if I was in a padded cell for 7 hours, 7 days, 7 months, or 7 years. I've got no recollection. But I woke up, right, and I'm looking about in a padded cell, and I'm going, like, what the fuck is this? Do you know what I mean? No one told me this when you go shoplifting at 7, 8, 9 years of age. This is where you end up.
Yeah.
No one told me that. Do you know what I mean? And I'm looking about thinking, what's this? So I'm looking down, I see my feet. I'm looking at myself on my right. Where's my hands? I'm like, where's my hands? They're not there. And the door opens, right? The door opens, the screw walks in. He goes, you all right? I said, I don't know. So he says to me, I'm going to take the jacket off. I'm thinking, what jacket? What's he talking about? He undoes the belts in the back, Frank. My hands drop, and I go, cool, that's where my hands are. I've been like that for God knows how long. Do you know what I mean? And he said to me, I'm going to give you a towel, but he's talking to me like this, Frank. I'm going to give you a towel and some shower gel. I'm like, what's he talking to me like that for? Does he feel I'm an idiot? And he gives me the towel. So, you know, we're like the showers, they're not 20 metres away, 15, 20 metres away. But it takes me 20 minutes to walk there. And I can put the shower on, I can look at the water, I can see it, but I can't feel it. So I'm thinking, what's wrong? Anyway, dries myself down, puts clothes back on. But he's told me we're going to sit at a desk and he's going to have a chat with me. Yeah. So he walks over, I walks over there. Frank, I think I'm like, you know, just my normal self. And he goes to me, 2 things are going to happen. You can behave yourself from now on, go back to normal population, finish your sentence and go home. Or we keep you like this. Well, I didn't know what keep you like that was. Yeah. And then I gets up and I walks back in the cell. And then I realise I'm dribbling and I'm walking all slow. And every day I start to come round. And then I realised what that was. You know, we're going to keep you like that. And I said, that's it. Yeah. So I was in that padded cell. I looked up. I said, if you get me out of here in sane mind and good health, I'll do nothing but good with the rest of my life. Yeah. So when they put me back on normal population, Frank, right, I said, I've had enough. I'm done with prison. I'm done with everything. I've heard every story. I've listened to every major criminal that's doing 25 years. Right, they're major criminals and they're doing loads of bird. And I'm like, this is not for me. Do you know what I mean? This is not for me. So I said to them, I've done solitary confinement. Lock the door. Don't let me out. I'm not coming out, even if you open it. If you want to feed me, put the food there. If you want to give me water, but I'm in the sink washing every day and I'm staying in there. They got 3 psychiatrists to come and assess me. So I won't tell them anything.
Yeah.
Because I know this pact, Frank, that ain't gonna ever be broken.
Yeah.
So I'd never told him anything. And good job I never, because when I got out, like, they'd sectioned me and sent me to St Clement's prison, right? Because I've just closed down. I didn't tell anyone. Two of my brothers walked in, come and visit me. They went to me, what's happened? I said, you know what's happened? He went, I heard you're going to be, like, you've lost the plot, but what's going on? I said, you was there. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, we're going there. And when? And then, so when I got out the hospital, I went out for a drink with another brother. And I said to him, do you remember that day in the hospital, like, and what happened? Nah, I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't there. So if I would have told psychiatrists, Frank, that this is what happened to me and it's done my head in, I'm losing the plot, I'm going insane. If I would have told them that, I'd have still been getting jabbed up now, because they would have went to my family and said, he's told us his story. Is it true?
They wouldn't have confirmed it, would they?
No. So I still would have been getting jabbed up. Do you know what I mean? I've hallucinated. I'm, you know, and for a little while, Frank, I believed it. I thought, I've made this all up. I'm mad. I've got to be nuts. Do you know what I mean? But I wouldn't let it go. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't let it go. And so I went and spoke to my sister. I said, look, you've got to tell me everything. Yeah. And she told me everything. But it was too far gone for her, Frank. She was drinking alcohol, like, you know what I mean? And she had a 3-month-old baby. And in their wisdom, so I got a phone call at 7 o'clock in the morning. Come here, meet me in this street. So if my brother's phoned me that over the years, Frank, it was either to beat someone up or do something. Do you know what I mean? So I went there. Yeah, so I went there at 7:30 in the morning, jumped in the van. I said, what am I here for? Watch down the street. So I said, what am I watching? Just watch. So I carried on watching. A police car pulled up. And this is like 500 yards away. Right? Police car pulled up. Then a plainclothes car pulled up. A woman got out with a man. They went into a block of flats. I said to my brother, that's where Kim lives. He said, yeah. I said, what's going on? And then a woman come running out with a baby in her arms, jumped in the car, and they took off. I went, oh my God, what have you done? He went, it's not me, I didn't know nothing. I said, you're telling me you don't know? What the fuck am I doing here? Do you know what I mean? So they got the baby taken off of her. I said she's like mentally ill. But I'd done everything I could to help her. I'd done her flat up, everything. Do you know what I mean? But she was too far gone. And then she drank even more. And she got an aneurysm. But she had headaches. But because of the drink, she didn't go to the hospital. And she walked into the hospital and half her brain had exploded. So they sedated her and she never come round, Frank. And so it broke my heart. I stayed there every day at the bed. And yeah, you can read in the book the rest of it. It's just absolutely nuts.
Well, I was gonna say, what was the period of time between all this trauma? Even this is trauma, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
You're talking about, you know, trauma at a young age. Blimey, you was experiencing trauma through your
life.
All my life. And at some stage, you've decided to document this, and thank God you have. What brought you to that, to consider writing a book?
As I said, my sister had a 3-month-old baby, and so I took her. I put myself forward, and I went to court. I said, I don't want your money, just let me have the baby.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was right for my wife to look after her, because it weren't her sister, it was my sister. Yeah. So I looked after her every day, 5 days a week, you know, and we come with first names with Mr. Squirrel and the ducks at the park and all that. So it helped me change my life, and it gave me a lot of thinking time.
Yeah.
And I knew I was never going to get involved in crime ever again. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't happening.
No.
And so I was doing a lot of thinking, but it was like, so if you're doing a doctorate in criminology, psychology, mental illness, the universities send them to me, Frank, when they're, you know, as part of their work. So I help a lot of them, because So lived experience is very useful, you know. So if you want to know about banking, where do you go? You go to a banker. If you want to know about a mortgage, go to a mortgage advisor. If you want to know about crime and dysfunction, you come to someone like me. It just makes sense. So I wrote the book, and I thought, so I'm going to be so truthful. Do you know what I'm going to be? I'm going to open up. I'm going to be so truthful, because that's the only way I can do this. And it's the only way it can help other people to understand their own lives. And so I wrote this book, Product of a Postcode. And I was struggling. What am I going to call it? And I was going like, definitely. And I just come up with Product of a Postcode, and it just sat. And I thought, God, that's what I am. I'm a product of a postcode. It's our mentors and our role models that make us what we become. And so I started doing talks before I wrote the book.
Can I just interrupt there? I've got to say, that's a great title.
Yeah.
That's a great title.
Yeah. And so I was doing talks, Frank. I started doing talks before I wrote the book.
Yeah.
And what used to happen, so I'd be in a school with 500, 600 kids, and someone would be running out, going to get someone else and saying, you've got to listen to this geezer. This is unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? And then one day I was doing a talk in this community centre, and at the end of it, this bloke come up to me and he said to me, you should write a book. I said, what about? He said, A Gangster Life. I said, I ain't a gangster. I'm just a kid, a poor kid that was brought up in the East End of London, never had no mentors and role models. He said, what about that then?
Yeah, fair comment, isn't it? It's a fair comment.
So I went and wrote about that, and it just took off. Honestly, it took off. But I've got an addiction, Frank, the same as alcohol, same as heroin, same as cocaine. It's my addiction, and it's called money. I can't have vast amounts of money. So going on doing what I do now, if I get asked to go to NA meetings and talk to people like that, and they think they're addicted to heroin, but they're not. The first thing they was ever addicted to was money to get it.
Yeah.
And then you start spending it on cocaine and alcohol and drugs. Deal with your addiction to money, then you'll be able to deal with all that. So my addiction's money, and I understand it. I can't have vast amounts of money. So when I wrote the book, I thought, I don't want this. So what's the next best thing? I'll give it away to charity. No, I'll set up a charity. So I set up a charity called Product of a Postcode. And it just snowballed, Frank. I had the government asking me to come and advise them on youth crime and violence. So I went and done that to a cross-party group of MPs. I was working in prisons. It just went crazy. Do you know what I mean? It just went mad. I was everywhere and everywhere. But it was my passion. So part of the charity, we support young people with a dream and passion. Because if you're passionate about something, Frank, you'll do it for the rest of your life for nothing. But you'll do a job for 6 weeks you're not passionate about and think, I don't want to do this anymore. No. But if you're passionate, and the younger you find your passion, the better. So we do a thing called Dreams and Passions where we support young people. One young boy wanted to be a vet. Academia, he had it off to a T. But he didn't have the finance. The only veterinary college is in the Angel Islam. And so he's fair. He wanted to sell drugs to support his going to college. So we stopped him from doing that. His fare was 1,200 quid. We put that on an oyster, bought him some books, bought him some clothes. He finished the first year of a merit. Now he ain't in prison. He ain't banged up. He ain't stabbed. It's just supporting young people's dreams and passions. Fantastic. An athlete, we've done it to an athlete. I was contacted by his coach, and he was a very good runner, but he didn't have all the gear. I said, I can help him. I said to him, tell him to meet me at Westfield, 12 o'clock Saturday. I went and bought him everything he needed, a bag. So the next time he's gone training, he's in all the gear now. He's 6 foot taller. Because when I see him, he was walking in there like that, Frank, with his head down. And then he ended up running for his county. He's got trials for a great British team. He's gone on and done brilliantly. We bought him £400 pair of spikes.
Do you sometimes wonder to yourself, because I say I've come across a lot of people, and that's not necessarily on the podcast. A lot of the time it's the podcast that's highlighted it. I'm kind of seeing more. It's almost where people have been tested, shall we say, in their early lives.
Yeah.
But the things they've gone on to do later in life.
So I
It's
believe,
amazing because they've not been in a position to do it for themselves when they were younger. But what they're doing to younger people now, as
yeah,
you say, to prevent them going to prison, to prevent
yeah.
them instead getting involved in criminality or things that they shouldn't. I
So
find it's almost like a call, isn't it? It's almost like
yeah.
if you have a bit of shit first, and it's somewhere down the line, you're gonna use your life experiences to make sure that this doesn't happen to a load of other
So
people.
we do workshops in schools on a manner of different things: knife crime, gang culture, all sorts of things. Right? I've wrote them all up, Frank. So I believe my life's path has given me the tools to be able to do this and the empathy to understand.
Yep.
Because if I didn't think of it that way, my life wouldn't make sense. So it's gave me all the tools that I need to engage with young people and to make them understand that your life's not normal. So, you know, I got offered one day, Frank. So a young boy contacted me in a college. It was his last year in college. And he had to do something in filming to get a university. So he contacted me, said, I want to make a documentary about you. I said, I don't want to make a documentary about me. I said, but I'll make one about knife crime. He went, okay then. Made a documentary about knife crime. He got a university place, but it also won a National Charity Film Award.
Fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And that's just because, so I wanted to make a documentary about the families, Frank, because we see it on social media. Oh, so-and-so was killed on Commercial Road at 12 o'clock today. Don't hear about nothing else.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to make a film about the families. And it's heartbreaking. I use that in schools now, and it's used all around in schools. And also, I wrote a white paper for the government, how to deal with young people. And you know that Ed Bruselja thing they're doing with the boxing?
Yep, yep.
That's it. It's an engagement to work with young kids. And it's called Fight for a Better Life. So I wrote that, but it's used all over the country now. So I do things. I don't want to keep them and say, oh, yeah, look at me, it's mine. I don't want to do that. So one of the other things I started as well, I wanted to get into police stations. And so I knew the young boy or young girl would be vulnerable. I wanted to get in the cell and sit with them. So that opportunity arose. So I got all the statistics from it and I showed it worked because they're willing to do anything because that's when they're so vulnerable and like scared and worried. And do you know what I mean? You can engage with them. So I've got done that, getting them onto different things afterwards. And the probation service, right, now employ 1,000 people across the country with lived experience to go into the police stations. Brilliant. I don't need to go.
So the bloke who went to school, so we've got from a bloke that went to school with holes in his shoes, didn't particularly get a brilliant education, you know, and yet you've probably done more to educate people than what some people that went to college, went to university, because they've not lived it, have they? And I say that's what I always say to people. You can go and study as much as you like, and to a certain degree, yeah, of course you can go and you can do research and so on. But it'll never be the same as the person that lived that experience. It never ever be the same because you can't conjure up the emotions, can you? You can't that goes with it, the thought processes that go with it. And I honestly believe I think that's amazing.
Right.
You're not the first person I've said it, but I certainly believe it.
See these professionals, they want to medicate you, right? And so your brain is made up of chemicals. So that causes a chemical imbalance. Yeah. But lip tablets are no good for you. You need to open up and be honest and talk to people. You know what I mean? You need to open up, you need to talk to me, you need to find it for yourself, you need to understand it yourself. Yeah. But if you take drugs, you become numb and you'll never understand anything.
Well, people listen to me enough now, Gary. I mean, I've been interviewed a few times now on various podcasts, and I said to people, and this is what I talk to young people about, or people in general, come to think of it. And I didn't realise till quite late in my life that you mentioned addiction.
Yeah.
And as you say, people will say drink, drugs, gambling, etc. And it took me years to realise, right, that my addiction is extremes. Everything I've ever done, and I'm not going to go off because it's not me being questioned today. It's you I'm chatting to, so I don't want to take anything away from you. But I realised every single thing I've ever got involved with, I've taken it to extremes, which is great. Which is great when it's legal. It's great when it's helping people. It's great for any of your employers because you're a fantastic employee because you give a bit more. But when it's the wrong things or the things that's led me down the wrong roads, that's what's got me into trouble. That's what's got me into trouble, and that taken me years to realise. And I have to be really careful now. And
Same as me.
And I say, I don't get involved. I very, very rarely do I get involved with something now because I know I can't just get involved. I'll take it to its extremes. And funny that one, I'm very short now. I'm about to have a career change.
Yeah.
Where my extremism is going to be aimed. That's exactly where my extremism is going to be.
It's like me, Frank. So, I've took an idea and just run away with it and done some of the most. I took 20 young people, well, 40 of them, and I trained them for 10 weeks in the gym, right? Started making them eat healthily, blah, 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 getting inside their head while I'm training with them. And then one day I said, right, I've hired Bethnal Green, your call. You're going to box at the end of it. We've got to sell 1,200 tickets. Sold 1,200 tickets and put on a boxing night.
Brilliant.
It's just, I just go, right, it can be done.
Any more writing, Gary? Any more thoughts about?
I've been offered a free book deal.
Right.
I've got one written already, but I just want to help people. It's good writing a book, and it does help people. I'll tell you for why, Frank. I was walking along the street up the West End. I was going to the BBC, and I had this top on. And a woman come walking towards me. So this is a talking point, Frank, but you see people talking in their head. And this woman was walking towards me, and she was mouthing a postcode. And I see her mouthing product of a postcode. She went away and researched it, and she read the book, and she contacted me. And she said, Gary, can I have a chat with you? I said, here's my number. You can phone me. She phoned me. She said, I want to thank you for writing the book. I said, why is that? She went, it made me understand my life, and I was able to tell my husband that I was abused as a young kid. And the first things out of my husband's mouth was, our sex life makes sense, we're going to see a counsellor. She said, I've been through counselling now, but I never would have had the courage if I didn't read your book.
That's brilliant, mate. That's
but there's loads of things like that, Frank. Do you know what I mean? That's happened.
And I'll say this as well, that, I'll see, I've said this so many times now, it's probably going to get a bit boring, but, when it came to writing books and people said to me about writing a book, I say, oh, that's middle class people write fucking books.
Yeah.
It ain't meant for us working class blokes. That's not what we do, And but I'm really, really pleased to say so many blokes do write books now.
Yeah.
So many blokes, and especially with the problems of men with mental health and not being able to talk.
Yeah.
I think when they can pick up a book, and they view someone as one of their own, if you like, a bit of a geezer, like they can identify with. When they read their story, they don't feel so unusual, then, do they?
No.
They don't feel so, and they think, okay, do you know what? I'm going to share my story now, and it's great because I feel like this is multiplying.
My best mate, right? He read my book, and he goes to me, "Gal, it all makes sense." I said, "What's that?" He said, "When we was kids and we was nicking, say we was carving up 500 quid, I had to go home. They'd wait outside my house. I'd come out, and then we'd go West End and do this and do spending money, and I'll ask to borrow money. Say, borrow me 50 quid, and I'll give it back to you." Yeah. And they go to me, "You had the same money as me." And I go, "Oh, don't worry about it. I was giving it to an alcoholic to go and get drunk."
Yeah.
And he went, "It all makes sense." He said he said it all makes sense. But that's just being open and honest. Yeah. See, Frank, So I come from a life that people can like go, yeah, I'm a major criminal. Shut up. Do you know what I mean? I talk about I was so dirty because no one's washing me, no one's feeding me, and I'm feral.
Yeah.
I was so dirty. I took my socks off one day. The teacher said to me, "You got to do." I never had a PE kit. You got to do PE in your pants. I was like, "Oh my god! If someone sees what's in my socks, it's never going to happen." I went in the toilet, flushed a chain. I was cleaning my feet in the toilet because I didn't want the embarrassment.
Yeah.
I mean, what young boy washes if he ain't told to?
Yeah.
And so I ain't got the mum to tell me, go and have a wash, get in that bath, run the bath. You had that one happening in my life.
Well, we never had a bath. That's another thing. Kids don't believe it. When you say it was an hour on the wall in the yard and it was a tin bath maker on it, they go, "You're all right." You say you put it in the scullery. Next thing they say is, "What's a scullery?" So, you know, they're hardly going to believe you, are they? Like, you know.
Yeah, so I wrote about open things and being honest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're all a product of whatever walk of life you come from, you're a product of a postcode.
Yeah.
Because the people in your postcode has made you what you become.
Well, I definitely want one of them t-shirts.
You can have one.
I definitely want a t-shirt. I'll take you got 2XL, have you?
Yeah. So I've been that weight before.
Or if you haven't put two together, I definitely like one. I would appreciate one, Gary, mate.
Yeah, no problem.
I would like it. Yeah. Well, listen, mate, I'm going to finish up now because to be frank, you know, I could probably sit here and talk all night to you, to be honest. So I want to thank you for coming on. And what I would like you to do is just hang about for 5 minutes if you can afterwards.
Yeah, no problem.
But
No problem.
I just want to thank our sponsor, and I want to, you know, say give acknowledgement to the Alzheimer's Society and, you know, change your life, put down your knife. And again, our friends up in Burnley. I want to thank Gary again. I want to thank everyone that watches us. And I'm going to say it to people, you know, I want people to subscribe. And that's not for us. It's in recognition to the people that come on and share their life stories and their experiences. You know, it's out of respect to them and to encourage other people to come on and do the same. And I'll say this to everybody. I say this to everybody, and I mean it to everybody that comes on. You know, we ask the criteria, the people, you know, what we ask for is real and inspiring people. And when I say it to you, I say it as sincerely as what I said to other people. You've certainly been real, Gary, and you've certainly been inspiring, mate. That's for sure. That's for sure. Because if someone wrote a book about you, of what your life was going to be like, people go, you've got to be some sort of dreamer, ain't you?
Yeah.
But how you've gone from here to there is like is absolutely amazing. And I'll tell you, we've got a lot to be proud of. We've got a lot to be proud of.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Frank.
And as I say, the amount of people that you've inspired, in turn will go on inspiring people, won't they? They'll go on and inspire more people. And so I really want to thank you for coming.
So, Frank, just let me just say, so it's product of a postcode. Breaking change, changing lives is the motto. Someone has to break the chain so the next generation can have a better life.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I've done that. I've got 6 of the most streetwise kids you'll ever meet, never sat on a street corner.
Yeah.
I've gone to college and university and got great lives.
Yeah.
Someone has to break the change from dysfunction.
Fantastic. Well, listen, whatever happens, I'm going to keep in touch with you, Gary. Definitely going to keep in touch with you, because you certainly inspired me, mate. That's for sure.
Thank you very much, Frank.
Certainly inspiring me.
Thank you.
And again, thanks ever so much for coming along and sharing that experience.
No problem.
It's been fantastic talking to you. And
thank you very much.
I wish you all the best.
I really enjoyed it. Thanks, Frank. And it's good to see that your platform's growing.
Yeah, I'm going to catch up. We're definitely going to catch up, mate. All right, pal. So I wish you all the best. Lovely.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, Gary. Thank you.